Good morning, friends. It's Nancy. Today I want to show you a little project. I've been working on ephemera for my 40s era sort of journal. And I want to show you how to make a gusseted pocket. This would be really good in the back of a journal, you know, to stick some stuff in that you want to use later in your journal or something. I'm not going to use it in the back of my journal because I'm using embroidered, like a dress or scarf or something. I'm using some embroidery for my inside pages. So this will be going on a page in the journal. But this took me some thought, so I thought I will demonstrate how to make this. It's really simple. So what you need is an image. I happened to get these labels from an antique mall in, can't remember, Rochester? I think Rochester. Now these are very thin. When I say paper thin, I mean less than paper thin. So this needs to be reinforced. I have a piece of vintage fabric. This was probably, you know, cut out of an apron yoke or something. It's got some stains on it. That's okay. And the other thing you need is 3 index cards, or you can use cardstock. I just used index cards because that's handy and I don't have to dig. And gosh, if you don't have index cards, why are you even junk journaling, right? Am I right? Okay, so I think I will sit myself down and we'll get working on this. So the first thing I want to do is I want to glue some cardstock or this index card to the back of my fabric. So I am going to just grab a scrap of paper, and I'm not going to use wet glue. I'm going to use just this glue stick. This is Elmer's. And I'll cut off the excess and then I'll just set it aside to dry a bit. If you have a brayer, you can go over it with your brayer to make sure that the glue is into the fibers. Okay, we're going to let that rest. Okay, so what I want is to measure this image, and you could use any image. I just happen to have these and I really like them. But you could use any image or book page or whatever you have. Greeting card. Greeting card you might not need to back on to. Come on, Nancy. So I'm just measuring this, and it is 3 7/8 deep. You gonna help me remember this? And 7. Sorry, it's 3 7/8. I better write this down. 3 7/8 by 7 3/8. Okay, so I'm going to cut one of my cards down to the same width. So I want 7 3/8. I also want my knife, which you can't find. Again, that's what I do all day, is just look for my knife. I should have 12 of them. Now, some more talented people would use a cutter. I'm no good at cutters. Yeah, 7 3/8. Okay, now I want to, this is just a little shy, but I'm going to make it work. So I'm going to score it at 3 7/8. And that's perfect. So this is going to be the front. And then we're going to cut another one the same size as the 3 7/8 as the pocket itself. There's 7 3/8. Okay. So hopefully our little fabric piece is drier. So I want to use the same height. So it was 3 7/8. I'm going to cut that in half. Now this is a big index card, so you might not be able to cut your index card this way if you're using the smaller index cards. I don't know if this knife is going to cut this. No, I'll have to use scissors. What I did. Didn't make sure it was all covered. We said 3 7/8. Yes, we did. Okay, and now I want, this is 5 inches across, so I want to cut it 2.5 inches. So I'm cutting it in half, 2 1/4. So I just need to trim this fabric a bit. Okay. So I have 2 identical pieces. This is vintage fabric. So now I need to put some score lines in here, and so half of 2.5 is 1 3/4. Okay, I want to do 1 1 1/4. Scratch that. 1 1/4, and I want to score it on the fabric line, fabric side up. Okay, 1 1/4. And you can see the fabric's lifting up right there, but that's okay. We're gonna do some sewing around there. 1 1/4. Like even measuring I'm telling you. Needed a little scooch there. That's fine. Okay. Now, flipping it over, I am going to do 3/8 from the edge. So 1, 2, 3. So this is on the cardstock side. And then on this side, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like. That edges come up more than I like, so I'm going to put a little bit of wet glue there because it's not going to show. And that's why I use the Elmer's in the first place, is because sometimes glue shows through fabric, and this is older vintage fabric that's pretty thin, and I don't know that the glue would have shown through, but I didn't want to waste it because you're not going to be able to get any more of this kind. And then the same on here. One, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. Glue boogers. Ugh. I thinned this out recently with some acetone, but it's still goobering up. So it's Sunday morning. I had the best time yesterday. I went cross-border shopping again. I went to Buffalo, the Buffalo area in general, and did some estate sales, and I hit some really great estate sales. Alright, I want to glue this down. I am going to use liquid glue this time because the Elmer's glue will wrinkle the paper, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to glue down this edge. Make sure it's down. And this is the one that has the fold there. Looking good. Now, if you were using a different kind of image and you want to do some collaging on here, or you wanted to maybe sew on some trim. I did sew a little bit of lace on this one. Well, not even really lace, it's more like a weird fabric trim. I don't think I do. Got this bias tape. It's kind of groovy, but I don't want it. I really should put something on there though, shouldn't I? There's some old rickrack. That's cute. I think I'm going to wait to put this on though, because I'm not going to sew this on. I'm just going to glue it on. Okay. Alrighty. So at this point, I'm going to just cut off the corners at a 45-degree angle just to remove some of the bulk. No measuring required there. Okay, now I want the fabric side to face out and the fold to go in. Okay, so let's get that on. I'm going to use liquid glue again. Come on, glue. And just carefully match it up to the side here. This is the perfect color blue to go with this. So that's exciting. As ever, I'm going to add a couple of clips just to make sure that that is completely adhered. Okay, I want this to go out, so I have to glue here. So I got some really crazy good stuff, bargain prices yesterday. I don't even know if, I think a haul would take too long. So I don't know that I'm even going to film a haul. And it slid a bit. There we go. So I'll let that set up for a minute. I want to show you these little journaling cards I made. So these were given to me by Darlene. Thank you, Darlene. And this one's dated 1946. And this one's dated 49. This one doesn't have a date. But I just glued these onto index cards. And I used the liquid glue again so I didn't have any wrinkles. And I cut the card down to size, and then across the top I tore it off so that it matched the, more or less, the tear that was at the top. I think these are awesome, and they are a fantastic color pink. I'm going to put one of these in my journal, but I thought I might as well make them all while I'm at it. Alright. So I think this is set up enough. Now the one thing I'm worried about is that the fabric will come away from the card and the whole pocket's going to fall apart. So I am going to do some stitching. So I'm going to stitch all around the edge just to decorate, and that will capture this edge of the fabric on there. And then I'm going to sew around the other three sides, because I won't be able to do any more sewing once it's adhered to the other card. Okay, just going to trim the threads off. I used white thread, so I don't know that you'll be able to see it very well. Come on, Nancy. Okay, so like I said, the stitching around the edge of the image is completely decorative, but the stitching around the fabric gusset is functional. Okay, so next step, we're going to you fold the edges in, right? And then this flap is going to go on top. Not under, on top. Okay? So, using the Fabri-Tac, I'm going to make sure it's white towards the inside. So I will put glue on the inside. Oh, for crying out loud. Booers galore. Yeah, so I'm going to put a good amount of glue around all three edges. You got a little bit of time to work this because the glue is pretty forgiving. So I have this leftover piece of fabric card, but I'm just going to cut that down to a journaling card size or tag size. And it's all raggedy on that side, so I'm going to leave it and square that off a bit. This time I think I'm going to make it tag shaped. So the other one I made, I just left it rectangular because it was already pretty small. What did I say? This was 3.5 across. So that means 1.5 plus a quarter is 1 3/4. So about there is the center. I'll pop this hole in. So I just wanted to demonstrate that even though there's fabric on there, you can still use your crocodile. You might need to trim the fabric a bit, but you can make it work. This one I'm going to stitch around. I'll be right back. Okay. That's the wrong glue. We'll just use a white one. Could use a gold one. go white. Always have to think about this. I look a little scattered. I'm looking for the lid for my glue so it doesn't bubble up again. Oh, goodness. There it is. Okay, so there it is. And when you glue it to page, right? Glue it to a page, and then you can just lift it up and put receipts in there, or tags, or whatever you want to put in there. Yeah. So that is a gusseted pocket. I hope that it was interesting. I hope that it was understandable. I think that's the biggest issue with me. But yeah, so anyway, thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.